Today's lesson is on loops. So we're going to be taking another look at for and while loops. Now we have been using them all along, but it's a good idea to take another look, especially here at the end of the course. Now I'm going to write a little program here with a while loop. So I'm going to say I is equal to 0. While I is less than or equal to 10, print I. Now before I run it, can you take a look at it? Oops, and this one isn't on functions, this one is on loops. But before I run it, can you take a look and tell me what's wrong? It says while I is less than 10, print it. Let's see what happens. I don't know if you can see, but you see that little bouncing around at the bottom of my screen there? I will never be greater than 10. This will run forever. It's called an infinite loop, and it's a bad thing. We don't want infinite loops. Now, luckily, I can just kill this program, and there's no problem. Let's try and fix that. Now, I can sometimes be called a sentinel variable. A sentinel is a guard. It's the one that will tell us when we hit the end. There's some other names for it too that we'll see that later. So let's now say I equals I plus 1. So every time in the loop it's going to add one more to it. And once it gets past 10, it should stop. And let's see what happens here. Yep, now it went to 11 because we did print it. And let's see if there's a way around that. Let's try moving that print line before we add the 1. Now let's give it a quick run here. And yeah, then we get 1 through 10 if that's all that we wanted. So that's a good way. We have a variable that's going to check to make sure that we don't go too far and that we have a problem that the program doesn't stop. Now let's try and find a way. We're going to make kind of a little calculator with a list here. So print, this program adds numbers for you. We're going to say answer equals y. So why are you doing that? What I'm doing is I want initially have this variable called answer and have it have a value of yes. That indeed we want to at least do it one time. Now sum is 0. Remember that's called initializing a variable. So while answer 0, the first letter of answer, and let's make it lowercase, equals y. So what we're going to later let the user do is enter an answer. And we want to just check, is the first letter y? And we'll make it lowercase because it just makes it easier. That way we don't have to check whether it's uppercase. And then what we'll do is x equals float input, enter a number. Oops, and I like a space in there. Sum will equal sum plus x. So we're going to add up the sum rather. No, not sun, excuse me, sum. Answer equals input. Now we're going to ask the user, do you have any more numbers? And we're going to make a suggestion that they enter yes or no. They can actually enter anything they want. But if they don't enter a yes, it's not going to do it again. So what's this going to do? This while loop will go on, I don't want to say forever, but it'll go on until the user says they're done. And then when we're all done, we can print the total, let's say the total is comma. Remember, you need that comma there, the sum. So the new thing in here is not that we're entering a number. It's not that we're entering a sum or initializing a variable. We're using answer as the sentinel variable, as the way to get out of the loop. Sentinel variable. Let's see what it does. So enter a number, because you got to at least enter 1, 4. Do you have any other numbers? Yes, I do. 2. Do I have any more numbers? Yeah, I can enter a capital, because it's only going to look at the first letter, and it's going to make it lowercase. We're going to let Python do that for us. 3, yellow. It will still work. 5. And no, I don't have any more numbers, so I'll enter no. Anything I enter here will stop it. And the total is 14 in that case. So I could easily, like if I run it again, let me just show you really quickly. So 4, and maybe I don't enter no. I enter I don't have any more numbers. That's fine. The first letter was not a Y, and that's all it did. All right, so let's see another case of this sentinel loop here. So let's see what this program does. This one averages numbers for you. And gotta get rid of some of this stuff here. So what we're going to do now is, see, count equals 0. And sum equals, I think I did 0.0 because I want to make sure it was a float. All right, so we need a way to get out of this. And what we're going to do is we're going to say answer equals input, enter a number. And this is kind of neat here because what we can do is we can use enter, the enter key, to quit. So we can allow the user to just hit enter instead of hitting a number and have it quit. So we're going to say while answer does not equal enter. So in other words, if I hit enter, I haven't entered anything. That would be like a blank string here. So while I don't hit that, it's not going to do that. Now I got a problem here. I have answer as input. That means it's a string. So what I can do is I can say float the answer. This converts it to a floating point number, because that's really what we want to do. And then we'll say sum equals sum plus x, which we've seen before. Count equals count plus 1. And if there's time, I'll show you a cute little way to do that, to add to that. Now I've got to ask for answer again. I've got to get another number. I'm just going to copy and paste it here. Answer equals input, enter a number, or enter will quit it. If you don't do this input and then convert it to a float, you'll get an error when you start to try to enter things. You'll get the red letters, which we don't want to do. Now, outside the loop, we want to get the average. So average equals sum divided by count. Then print your average. In fact, let's put a little, it's never a bad idea to put a blank line. It just makes it a lot easier for the person to read. Your average is, comma, average. I think I need a space in So we've got this loop. We're saying this sentinel variable is answer. So while answer does not equal the enter key or something that's not a number, it'll be just fine. It'll keep adding it up. And let's see if I did it right. So 2, 4, 7, 9. Now I'm going to hit enter. Because I didn't enter a number, it knew that it was time to quit the program.